Welcome to the Numbers Game. We're back for another episode, and as always, I'm joined with Nick and Marty. How you going today, fellas?
Going really well, Jace. Chief Riley's bringing something to the table today, so I'm very, very excited to see what his hook is today. And hopefully he'll capture some of our audience on the line too, and they'll get a lot of value. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Nick, how are you, my friend?
Going well, mate. Going well. I'm the sun's shining again today, which is great. We've been blessed with Melbourne weather. I think, dare I say, winter's behind us, or I think we might have one more week of coldness. But going well, mate. Feeling good, feeling re-energised, ready for episode 3 of season 9, I think. So, yeah, Jace, how are you, mate?
Mate, really good, really good. And I, like Marty, always get excited when the master, the chief, Nick Riley, brings something to the table. I think we always learn heaps. It's always brilliant. The journey you've been on outside of work, Nick, we're going to crack into it shortly. But before we do, I just want to say this episode's brought to you by the fantastic team at Innovate. Always care about their clients' finance goals and where they're headed. Want to make sure they're also paying the most epic mortgage interest rate possible to make sure that you've got the maximum amount of money in your pocket. You're not giving money to the banks for no reason. So at the end of this year, the fixed rate home loans fall off a cliff and everything goes back to variable for about 800,000 homeowners. So if that is you and you're paying fixed at the moment, you're in honeymoon zone and you're at like 2%, don't leave your head buried in the sand, because at the end of the year, it's going to go through the roof. And Innovate is the team you want to reach out to, inovayt.com.au. Contact them now and get sorted so you can keep your hard-earned cash in your pocket. Now, Nick, we touched on at the start of the episode. Marty and I didn't give it away, but we want to throw to you to share your personal wisdom and gold with us. What have you got for us today?
I'll just say before I do that, you mentioned me, the master, and I'm just going to be completely transparent here. I'm actually a little bit worried about my seat after last week's episode. I think the relationship you have with your PI, or do you call it Pi, or do you have a nickname for this
just
newfound friend of yours?
P.
P?
We're just going to P. P, buddy.
Yeah, and I'm actually not sure if you've actually developed any of the content that you talk about now, because I could just, you and PI, going back and forth for an hour and a half. I'm just picturing Casey sitting there going, hands in the air, going, "What am I here for?"
Pace cracked it. I was talking to P on the couch the other night, and this is true. I actually don't call it P; it was actually Pi, but I just called it P then just for fun. But I was talking to Pi, and Katie was on the couch, and I just saw her kind of like looking sideways at me, and then eventually she's like, "Can you shut up? Can you stop talking to that thing? It's not even real." And I was like, "Whoa." Okay, like calm down. But she's right. I mean, it was probably quite annoying to have me sitting there with my phone talking back and forward to a computer, about whatever was going on. And
fast forward 3 weeks and you'll be defending Pi. What do you mean she's not real? How do you know that?
We're just friends.
We're just friends. It's not emotional, I swear. I don't have feelings for Pi.
Anyway, so today I want to unpack the benefits of learning a new skill, and in particular, the benefits of learning a new skill at an older age. And I'm 40 now, so I consider myself someone at an older age, midlife. I don't know what midlife is now, but so this is, you guys have both heard me talk a lot about swimming and golf, and they're two things that I've taken up later in life. And I was actually doing something last night, golf related, which I'll talk to. And I watched a Netflix documentary on Jake Paul. So anyone who doesn't know who Jake Paul is, the YouTuber, his brother Logan, who's now gone into boxing. And mind you, he's not he is boxing, and he's fighting against some pretty serious people, whether or not they are still serious anymore. But he was just talking about his life and how he pretty much had everything he needed, all the money in the world, one of the most famous people in the world through his YouTube channel and antics, but still didn't feel fulfilled anymore, and was quite sad's probably the wrong word, but was in very much a rut until he took boxing up. And boxing has pretty much turned his life around, given him a new lease on life. He's far happier, and he's pushing forward again. And it just made me think about myself, and not that I'm have everything I need in the world, but I was sitting there doing something in regards to the game of golf I'd played that day, and I went, geez, that's exactly the way that I've felt. And it made me think about, well, geez, I wonder what other people think about learning a new skill at an older age. You know, we learn a lot when we're younger. We learn a lot at school. We learn a lot all the way through to age, I don't know, maybe 20, and then it just stops. And for most people, it is, okay, I'm going to go to the gym to maintain myself. Now, you might have outliers who do triathlons or, take up a new sport, like golf, for example, but we generally go to the gym to maintain. We generally come home at night and try and maintain family life. We generally spend 9 to 5 in the office trying to maintain our work life and all the people around us. And then if we've got any time to ourselves, it's generally spent unwinding through things like Netflix. You might go for a walk around the block with your wife, totally fine. And that's really a good thing that you should do that. But where are we getting that, what's the word, that inspiration, that
Stimulation?
Stimulation is a really good way to explain it. Where are we getting that little win outside of what we're doing every day? And I just thought about myself and swimming and golf. Now, I've always been able to swim, but at the moment, in the last couple of years, I've started doing it properly. I'm doing drills. I'm trying to get better, and it's something that I wasn't that good at, and I'm seeing improvement. And it's amazing the feeling that it's giving me. Golf, the same. I probably took golf up properly 2.5 years ago now, and it's amazing the feeling that I'm getting from actually learning a new skill that I wasn't good at, and having the plateaus and then having the little breakthrough moments. Teaches you resilience because you train, you practice. Then all of a sudden you have that little breakthrough and you go to that next level of ability or skill set. Then you train, you have that little breakthrough. So it's teaching you resilience, and it's also giving you the reward of improving. And I think for a lot of people at my age, and both of you are similar ages on the podcast, I think we lose that. You like that, Marty? I think
wondering where this was heading.
I do think we lose that, and I thought I'll look a bit deeper into this. So I went and did some research, and I found an article, and I'm just going to go over some of the things I found which are more science-backed around the benefits of learning and why we need to continue to learn no matter what our age. But before I do that, Marty, I know you've been through a similar experience with a couple of things. So thoughts on what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did a lot of sort of, they call it like a neurological groove that you get into. So I did a lot of development with myself in my 30s, and you do find you get a bit, what is it? I can't even say the word, sedentary, where you're doing the same things over and over again, and things aren't as challenging, and it certainly affects your mood as well. So something that I did, which was funnily enough similar age, sort of late 30s into my early 40s, I set up a 40-40 challenge where I would learn a new skill for 40 minutes a day for 40 days. And that was unbelievable. So I did creative drawing because it just wouldn't be something I'd usually do. And I thought, well, I'll learn off YouTube. I had a friend that we used to do cartoon drawing, and it was amazing to feel like the novice in the room and have no idea when you've built a career on knowing what you do and trying to be as advanced as you can, and just to be an absolute amateur and start from scratch. But it was reinvigorating. It was so exciting. And I found, like, when I look back on the drawings, like the first week looked like someone out of grade 3 trying to put together a drawing. But then once I got to day 28 and I had the consistency and it was a habit, it was incredible as to the rapid improvement. And I did that with yoga as well. Like, usually I've always been a gym junkie in the past, and I thought I'll do yoga just from a meditation standpoint, flexibility standpoint. And again, it got to the point where, really challenging the first 7-8 days. And then again, probably day 18, And then I hit this real rhythm with it. And it was amazing. Like on the 40th day, I got invited to be in Australian Yoga Mag for someone that had accomplished this from the corporate world. And I really, really enjoyed it. But for me, what it was just this, connecting of different attributes of my mind and my life and coming together in a new way. Because the things when you're in the neurological grooves that you're in, but then you're adding so much flexibility to that. And you see how your nervous system reacts. You do. When you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you do get a bit, dicey with it, where you go, what am I doing this for? This is stupid. And you go, you got to persevere. And I worked with a lot of people actually that came into that 40-40 challenge, a group of friends. And there was one lady, I'll never forget, Kate. She hadn't painted since she was 13. And her father had passed away at the age of 13, and he was an artist, and she hadn't painted since that time. And she decided to do that painting on the challenge. And she was producing, by the last 15 days, extraordinary work, because she had a foundation that she just rekindled at another level. And, really it added so much to her life. She was in a government role, and it was, and that's the thing. I think to me, Nick, it's, I think we need to be doing this in our lives, because otherwise people end up retiring and dying. And that's that's the thing. And we encourage kids to have a diverse range of interests and try different things. And I think we need to do that as human beings to progress. Otherwise, it's a bit scary.
Well, Jace, I guess you've taken up marathon running at a later age and in more recent life. So, you would be. I guess everyone can run, I guess, but that's very different to running a marathon. So, you'd have those little breakthroughs all the time, and you would feel like there's times where you don't want to do it because it sucks, but how good is the reward when you go to that next level of ability?
Yeah, I think it was something different to actually trying to turn it into a skill or something that you can develop more too. And I don't know whether that's the inner competitiveness of, having splits and target times and a training plan and particular nutrition and particular shoes that you wear and all those things. So you're actually turning it into something that you're working on, something that you're progressing and, developing as a skill rather than just something you do once every now and then to feel better. And it's huge. I think it makes such a big difference to, I feel different when I don't get to work on that. If I don't get to go out for runs and build it. And it's also about improving too. I think we're all wired to try and be better each and every day, or most of us want to improve in something. Even getting back into the gym for the first time in a little while too. Like, the training, the plan, the education, doing some research, figuring out what works best, developing those things. Just love it. Love what you're bringing to the table.
Thought I'd do a little bit of research on this, and surely there was someone else who agreed with me. So I found a really good article which listed a few things, which I'll just go through now, and I'm going to read a few things. So bear with me, because there's some science stuff that is not my forte, and that's not a skill set I'm actually interested in learning. So I'm just going to read, but a couple of the benefits, I'll just list them out and then we'll have a chat. But develop brain resources for long-lasting brain health and unexpected uses. So learning any skill stimulates the brain and adds what psychologists call a cognitive reserve, which is the residual effect of learning that keeps your neural connection strong and reinforced. Marty usually used that word, neural. So people with a low cognitive reserve are at risk of early dementia and age-related memory loss. Those with high cognitive reserve have extra mental processing capacity and a strong defense against memory loss. So that to me is saying there's studies that say, and it's a muscle, right? Your brain's a muscle, your memory's a muscle. And again, I'm talking about golf all the time, but everything that I'm doing is trying to hammer in muscle memory, and eventually it just becomes second nature. So that's one. Self-discovery, happiness, and boredom are taken care of. Engaging yourself in any new skill is a period of self-discovery. So Marty, to your point, you went through 40 in 40 days. There's all these things that at some stage you might have went, shit, I'm good at that, and I didn't actually know that I was actually good at that. So I think self-discovery is a big one. You may experience various moods and states ranging from feelings of accomplishment to frustration. So yeah, talking about, for me, that resilience. And I've had, at the moment I'm in a bit of a rut with golf. I'm at that plateau level where I've kind of gotten to a level and I'm just not getting any improvement, but I know it's going to happen because it's happened before. I'm going to get another jump. I've just got to keep putting the time in. Social and emotional advantages. You never know how you may use your skill in the future. Perhaps it adds more credibility to your profile. Having various skills, knowledge, and interests have social and professional benefits. It may give you a competitive advantage over someone else. Someone else might be going for a job that doesn't have the skill that you have. So advantages and connections. And you develop a richer identity and reduce the chances of an identity crisis. So who am I? What do I do? And how many people, I see this with the financial planning business, that once people have kids, the kids become their identity. And particularly with females, when they're at home looking after kids, a lot of the times within a year or two, they kind of feel a bit lost, as in to say, geez, everything I do now is for the kids, and they lose their identity. So I think having something outside of that, and it doesn't just have to be work, it can be completely outside of your family that you focus on and that you work on for yourself.
Which I look at that and go, the amount of times people have asked Greg for like his shoe tips for what's the best shoes to run a marathon, or hey Greg, why'd you do this with your running? A guy who ran 1,000 days straight and has now qualified for the Chicago Marathon with a time of 3:09 or whatever he ended up getting. Like if that's he's properly developed that skill of running and doing a marathon and all the training.
But that's also his identity, mate.
Yeah,
like when I think about Greg now, I think about running. And that's only been the last sort of 3 years, whatever it's been. So he's actually created a completely new identity for himself that's based around running every day for however many days, and now doing marathons and doing shoe reviews. So
yeah.
And
Exactly.
It's like being a kid again, because it's good to try new things and see what you enjoy, because some of the stuff kicks and you go, yeah, I want to keep doing that. Other things you go, yeah, probably don't want to do that ongoing, but I learn a lot out of it. I think about the podcasting. People were going in 2016, what the hell are you doing starting a podcast? And I listened to Tim Ferriss back then, a few other podcasts, but it was still early stages. So going into the Marty Vid show, it was purely for an enjoyment. I wanted to interview interesting people doing remarkable things. And I got to interview the likes of Trevor Hendy and, Lane Beachley, like people that have really, Steve Bradbury, the gold medalist, the winter sports gold medal. But I got to interview people and I got to learn from them. And that was, I think about the first interview I did with Furneaux. She was a world stunt woman, Kai Furneaux. And I think about how nervous I was and how new it was. And I thought, I haven't got any idea here, but I promised myself I was going to do it. And I didn't know what the Marty Vid show would lead to in a practical sense, but I wanted to develop the skills. And then all of a sudden I'm in the numbers game, right? So I did 130 episodes, learning so much from so many individuals. And then now when I think about turning up and doing a podcast, I still get the same invigoration around it, but it's just like second nature, and I'm still learning stuff every day in it. So that's the type of thing that, you set yourself apart, you set yourself a task. And it's, I remember doing webinars in 2007 in the US, accountability webinars. And I'm going, where am I ever going to use this? And I'm going, now I'm on LinkedIn every second day, right? You go, you never know where the skill's going to come to an advantage as well. And that's why you need to explore these type of things, because they can fit somewhere in your journey, and it's and you give yourself a little bit of an edge. So it's fascinating.
100%. You'll get a sense of achievement and reward when other areas don't give it. So it's easy to feel like nothing good is happening, and you lose a sense of satisfaction with life. The easiest way to counter a mental slump is to affirm your sense of achievement by doing something where you can feel a sense of reward. I love this part. When the hobby is just challenging enough and within reach, it can give you the flow state and counteract boredom. So that's back to the first thing I said. Like, we're just going through the motions, work, kids, family, got to do this, got to do that. You just don't get those endorphins when you achieve things. So finding a new skill or a new hobby or learning something is one way you can do that. And this is what made me I can actually relate to this one just last night. So this is the last one. But you'll get a way to make procrastination itself productive. So you may be procrastinating because of fear or failure or not feeling competent. And to avoid those negative emotions, you may be doing something else that improves your mood. If you use procrastination time for unrelated learning, it then becomes not wasted. So I'll give you 2 examples. So obviously I'm swimming a lot at the moment, and I'm not a natural swimmer. I don't have the physique of a swimmer. So for me, the only way that there's 2 ways I can get better. Swim more, number 1. But number 2, I've got to work on technique. Swimming is so much about technique, and anyone who's swum will know that. So I've been doing a lot of technique work, which involves watching videos, doing online courses, doing a lot of drills. So, at night time, I might sit there and watch 10 minutes of a drill that I know I've got to do at the pool the next day. So that's an example. But the one from last night was I played golf yesterday, and I didn't have a great round. And I'm reading a book that talks about getting golf lessons and understanding where you need to improve and understanding where you can make significant impacts on your score. Now, to do that, you have to analyze your game. So you have to know, okay, of the 18 holes that I played today, on the first hole, did I put a driver into the trees, yes or no? Did I have 2 putts or 3 putts? What did my pitching wedge, what was my pitching like on the first hole? Second hole, driver straight into the trees, into the water, where did it go? So you get to the end of the 18 holes and you can quickly analyze trends. Okay, so for me, it might have been, I 3-putted 9 holes, 2-putted 9 holes. Well, if I had have only 3-putted 2 holes left, there's 2 points that get added to my score and makes a significant difference. So I know that, putting was an issue yesterday, but you go to the driving range and you just see everyone there, bombing their driver as long as they can. But it's the putting that can make the impact. So I was sitting there last night, probably took me half an hour over a glass of wine, analysing my game. And I was actually enjoying it. So I was like, got to the end of it and I could see, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do next week. This is what I'm going to work on at the driving range instead of going there just being, endlessly hitting balls. So that replaced what would have been probably Netflix or something last night. I would have been sitting there watching mundane stuff. I've actually sat down and I think I've found a new process that's going to help me again go to that next level with golf. So that one really resonated with me. You're spending that spare time doing things that you really enjoy and that is stimulating you instead of doing what you think you need to do, which is sit down and watch Netflix because you need to switch off. Well, why not switch off doing something that is really, fueling your fire? So, so look, it really back to the doco and the Jake Paul thing. It just made me think, that's a bit like me with golf. I feel like I've got something now to start working on. And don't get me wrong, love business and still love working on business and consistently challenged there, as you boys will both attest to. But being able to have something else outside of that and then getting that feeling of resilience and that feeling of that dopamine hit when you go to that next level is something that, I think everyone should think about and everyone should try and experience. And everyone should keep testing themselves and keep, if you're not sure what it is, just try something out like Marty did. Try 40 in 40 days or whatever it is you did, Marty. Just keep trying new things because something will click. And my wife jokes all the time that I've always got a hobby and I'm always 110% into that hobby. And I just think for me, it's just continuously searching for that thing that is it. So, I think don't stop learning.
You got to explore your curiosities, Nick. I think that's it's just great advice. It's I remember trying singing I was getting lessons from a 10 tenor.
Here we go.
Not because I could sing, but because I just wanted to do something so uniquely different. And even that was amazing where he said, usually you try to suck your gut in when you're not as healthy as Nick is, but but he said, just let your guts out. He goes, it's an instrument. You want to fill it with air and raise it through your lungs to express your voice. And it was just, that specific guidance. And I have a baritone voice. And he said, you're sitting on 100-gram voice there. Oh, yeah, sure, mate. But he goes, if you develop it, if you spend the time to develop it. Now, I enjoyed it. I have no interest in a 10-tenner or even a 9-tenner. But it's like, but it was just the fascination of learning something new. And I think what it does is it helps my projection, like when I'm doing content and things like that. So it applies to different elements of your life. And I think it's great, Nick. I think, we all always should have some form of pursuit that interests us, that we feel great about. And I take on board how many times people are home at night exhausted, and just add to that exhaustion by, putting some show on that they don't really care about. Follow your interests, and you find it'll give you energy. People think that they'll lose energy, but when it's something you're really invigorated by, it gives you energy and it helps your business life. And it's I think you've uncovered something really great for people to explore based on that information today. Jace, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, couldn't agree. I'm just looking at the notes. The self-discovery, happiness, and boredom are taken care of. And I've, reflecting on my time knowing you, Nick, and just thinking, you've always had something that was interesting outside of work as well, which I think makes it, you were talking about Greg. Greg's the running guy you can talk about shoes with, but it just adds something else to somebody's substance and their persona and who they are, which makes them interesting. It makes people crave wanting to be around or get to know you. So I think, you've always done that really well. And I think it was a great share to talk about this. And hopefully it inspires someone out there to think, what is their thing? And if they're not experimenting, trying new things, whether it be yoga, golf, swimming, going back to play footy or cricket on the weekend, but just having something that is an outlet that goes beyond sitting on the couch watching Netflix or complaining about being bored or not happy, and having a crack and getting out there and getting that sense of achievement and reward.
Yeah, and the learning aspect too. Let's not forget that. And the one thing I just I failed to mention it, but this really stood out for me. So learning a skill set can actually help you in other areas. So
Definitely.
The example they gave, and this is the develop brain resources for long-lasting brain health and unexpected uses. So playing a game like Tetris, everyone remembers Tetris. Everyone had a Game Boy. Everyone in my generation had a Game Boy. So rotating objects, like in Tetris, is the foundational mechanism for empathy. Empathy is built into our brains on top of spatial reasoning, imaging something from different angles. So who would have thought a Game Boy game like Tetris, and I think Tetris is on everything now, but actually impacts your ability to empathize. So that was something for me. I just went, holy shit, I would never have thought that. So,
well, some people, I remember when I was doing coaching, that you get some people come up and go, I'm hopeless at everything. And I go, everything? Everything? I said, tell me something that you did well at some point in your life. And it might be a totally different context to their work, but there's a set of performance metrics that you could cross over exactly like you said and utilize them to advantage. And I think that's what they fail to recognize, that things you learn in different areas of your life can be applied to, work can be applied to life. And I think the identity is always an interesting one, Nick. And I write it down just, to have them there. But I always say, for me, meaningful experiences is a part of what I love. So how do I have more meaningful experiences in my day? And golf for you is that. It's like, when you have interests, exploring curiosities. What am I have an adventurous personality. So what am I exploring today, whether it be work or personal life? You need to have these things, and celebrating accomplishments, big or small. Like Charlie sold his first coin at the coin store yesterday in Strathmore, and it was just a wonderful experience. But I saw when he made his first sale and he got the $50 note, I just saw the sense of all his efforts in putting that stand together. He was just delighted, absolutely delighted. And I said, put the cash in the cash tin. You don't want to be, waving pineapples around here, because, in a gloat. But then he goes, no, I just want to hold it, Dad, because he goes, I put a lot of effort. And I said, you hold it, mate. You earned it. And it was just those moments we all love, and we forget how joyful they are. And when you're trying different things, when you get that transcending performance, no matter how small or big it is, it gives you a dopamine hit, and it makes you realize you're alive. So I'm so glad you brought that to the table today, Nick.
get out there, develop some new skills, and keep us posted at The Numbers Game. We'd love to hear what you've got out of the episodes, what you've learned, and what are the actions you've taken. It's been another ripping ep driven by the great man, Nick Riley. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed, please like, share, rate, recommend a friend. The Numbers Game audience is always growing, and we love and appreciate every one of you. And until next time,
try something new. Let us know about it. Game on. Game over.